This stuff Yerushalmi Challah, and the article is Vardasham Daf Mem Aleph and Aleph at Halacha Gimel the Mishnah, and in the Vilna that is on Chav Dalet Amud Aleph Halacha Gimel the Mishnah, and we're talking about a leniency for Chalas Demai. So it says no tadam kedei chala meisa shlohur machala. So you can take chala from a dough from which chala has not yet been taken. In other words, you set aside a batch of chala, which is of isa, which is teva for chala. Dough, which is not yet chala taken off. Set aside a batch, and you leave it there. Last was betara, to use a betara. Lios marvish lev to be marvish on it. V'olech on chalas demai. Chalas demai you take on doughs you're going to buy from the marketplace, which you're not sure chalas has been taken off or not. So you have the stockpile, which you're going to take off continuously challah on the demai. You do this achetisrach until the stockpiled dough goes rancid. What rancid is, Gemara is going to ask. Why can't you do this? Shechalas demai, you tell us mina Torah latame. Chalas demai, you're taking A from Torah and Tamei, and well, I shouldn't say A, B, but you can take Torah because Shomina Mukaf. It doesn't have to be in the same container. It doesn't have to be touching each other. It's a special kula bechalas demai. Therefore, you can have the separate stockpile, which you continuously take off. Chala betara on your chalas demai, whether that demai is Tomei or Torah, it doesn't matter. Okay, so the Gemara says, Ma'al shetisrach. Me'ochel kelev, ochel adam shetisrach me'ochel kelev. So tisrach means when they become no longer suitable for human consumption or no longer suitable for animal consumption, which is obviously a much more advanced state of decay. So shmini minador. So let's start from a brisa. Now this brisa, according to the article and other meforshim, it's a brisa about challah specifically. According to the Rash William the Gra, it's a brisa from the Maseches Pesachim where it talks about burning truma on erev Pesach, and when you can burn truma tahira with truma tmeah. In other words, normally not allowed to be metame truma Torah, right? But at some point, if it becomes possible me'achila, you can burn the truma tmeah to truma Torah with truma tmeah. The question is what the point is, and drawing a parallel from that sugya to our sugya. Okay, so now if you have a dough which for any truma, which is no longer suitable for human consumption, it's still matame dumas oichlin. The Gra says as long as you want to still leave it around, you're still interested. You want to still eat it, even though it's still nifsa, I guess, miachils robni adam. Okay, so serving us a betuma, but you're allowed to burn a betuma, even though it's still not nifsa miachils kelev. And her base I can burn a betuma, right, with truma tmeah. Okay. Again, according to those say it's story about challah, despite story about challah, it's just story about challah, right? So you can burn once it's nisram me'ochel adam, it's still time to masachin, but you can burn it with tumba. Okay. Now, next line Gemara is very difficult, and the Gra changes the girsa, right? But it's hard to read. The words don't go together very well. The way the Gra changed the girsa is he changed it to, and the Ritbaz also changed the girsa. Nisrefes betuma, v'amarta metami tumas oichlin. How can we metami tumas oichlin if it's nisref? If you're allowed to burn betuma together with the truma tmeah, how does that work? And then the Gra moves up here. What it says right before the next Mishnah. Armashim barbarsno kambaroitz alocha kambaroitz l'soifa. Now we want to eat it. Okay, then. Again, even though it's nifsa mechas adam, you still want to eat it, so that's why it's still metame until it's actually possible achilas kelev. If you want to sarfa, then you can burn it right away, and it becomes possible achilas adam. So I think that gersa works out the best. Again, nisreves betuma of amarta metame tumas oichlin, right? How can we metame tumas oichlin and it's nifsa kelev? If it's rain nisreves betuma, amishim ambisna barbarsna kambaroitz locha kambaroitz l'sarfa. That's the Ritbaz Girsa based on the Gra. So the Girsa which you have in front of us, Metami Tumas Oichlin B'ata Marta Me'ochel Kelev, it's a little bit difficult to understand. You kind of like start saying their Sheu. I don't know. Never mind. I'm not even going to try to do it. So in any event, and again, Elam Me'ochel Adam, those words, Elam Me'ochel Adam, you can either take out, which seems like the Gra does. But you say, but rather the other terms say no. Once it's possible adam, then it's no longer okay. You can't. It's paka klushaso. That's how you can burn truma tmeya. So therefore, it's not mistar, but you can make a challah amokamacher at that point. So you can leave those words in, and that works out, even though the Gra seems to take them out. The point is that once it's a nivsa me'achal adam, even though it could still be retained to tuma until where you want to leave it around, until it's nivsa kelev, nevertheless, nikadin, that's when it's bala klushasa. So therefore, if it's bala klushasa, then you certainly can't make it the chatchila kodesh is challah. That's what the Gemara says. Okay, that's what the Gemara seems to be saying, and it works out well, again, according to that gears of the Ridbas. But so the Gemara goes on. It says, "Hadamra." This tells us shetarmina rali yofe. This is since you say from it's you take challah until she pasam me'ah achilas adam, which is certainly not great dough anymore. You're just okay. Just before achilas adam, it's still not yofe, right? So it must be, and the Maya might still be quite good, right? It's true, it's my, but its quality might be very, very fine. So therefore, Hadam Mashatamina Rali Yofe, you can take from Truma from Rali Yofe, Chal from on the Yofe. Asya Kaidan Barav the Marav Shmuel Barav Nachman, Shem Rabbi Yonason. It's only like Rav Shmuel Barav Nachman said, name Rabbi Yonason. Shetorme Me'alei Istepine al Ha-Istefine. Welcome She'ochinasa. It says that you can be Torem by Demai from the vegetables of from the leaves of a vegetable called istepine on the vegetables themselves, even though the leaves are evidently only eaten with great difficulty. And it's like the following place. Gamliel Zuga appears many places in the Yerushalmi. Gamliel Zuga. Zuga is a scissors, so I forget. Mashbiach and Sukkah, I think, says he was a hair cutter. I think Rabbi Gamliel found Rabbi Yochanan found him sleeping outside a sukkah or something, and I forget the story in Masechah Sukkah. But in any event, he's appeared several places. He's a character in the Yerushalmi. So Gamliel, I really should look it up, right? No, so the story is that Gamliel Zuga. This is Sukkah Paragimel. I think it's Aloha Aleph here. Gamliel Zuga Avale Matlago Shukah. He made a sukkah in the middle of the B'Shus Rabin. Avar Shimon Lakish Amalei Man Sharloch, who told you allowed to put it up here. So interesting. I'm looking at a Torah app here which says that Gamliel the twin. But I don't think. I think it says he was a barber. Anyway, be as it may. So here, Gamliel Zuga Inchimatakni Istafanise. He forgot to fix his Istafanise. As a Rabbi Yochanan, he asked Rabbi Yochanan, "What should I do?" I guess it was my, and Amalei said, "Istama Kniva." Do you have their wilted leaves, which you should set off? I guess he forgot to do it beforehand, so now it's afterwards. So he says, "Istama kniva afrish," or maybe he sold it already, whatever the case may be. In any event, he forgot to be mafresh it. So Istama kniva afrish mi kniva, go and be mafresh from the wilted leaves on the rest of it. So I assume that this type of vegetable, the leaves and the vegetable are similar enough that it's not considered to be. The leaves are totally different. Maybe because it's maybe it's because of the type of vegetable. I don't know, but in any event, somehow it's okay. It can be mafresh min harala yofe. The article says it's from the alin on the shoresh, which is like, so I guess it's like celery, like it's like one continuous thing. So it's all one. The alin and shoresh are like onion, maybe, I don't know. So it's like, it's not separate. Like there's the vegetable and the leaves. The leaves are shoots which come out of the bulb, something along those lines. So therefore, even though the leaves, especially these wilted leaves, are minarah, and the bulb is yofe, it's nevertheless you can see you're allowed to do it. Okay, Tani Chumas Meiser Shel Demai. So the bride says Chumas Meiser Shel Demai you can take from Torah Tome like Chalas Demai. And you tell actually, let's read it. Sorry, Tani Chumas Meiser Shel Demai Is Chame. Come see Chumas Meiser Badai. It tells me na Torah mina Tome. Chumas Meiser of Vadai. Is taken from a Torah Tome. Chumas Meiser Shmai Lo Kosh Kane. So evidently there is a There's Yerushalmi and Trumas, which says that even though Truma Gdola cannot be taken from a Torah Tomei, Trumas Maisa can be taken from a Torah Tomei. So certainly Trumas Maisa Gmais, he tells me Torah Tomei. So why do I need a brisa to tell us? That's the way the Levi Shlem is learning the sugya. Again, Tani Trumas Maisa Gmai. And there's something missing there, which the Trumas Maisa Gmai you could take off from a Torah from Torah Tamei, and the Gemara says, why do you need a brisa? Is Chamei Truma the Meiser Shel Vada? He does with Torah Tamei. Truma Meiser Shel Milo Koshke. It's like Avachomer. It's obvious. So Rabbi Yosef it said the brisa is talking about besofik Truma Gdola on the Kayamin. So the brisa is really about Truma Gdola, and not by Demai, because Demai is not an issue with Truma Gdola, because Amei Oretz we're not suspect not to take of Truma Gedola, take the main Truma. But it's a suffix if you set aside the Truma or not. So it's not a Demai issue. It's called Demai because it's a suffix, but it's not real Demai because real Demai doesn't apply to Truma. So it's trying to tell you when you take of Truma misafik, you can take from Torah Tomei. Just like you take Chala misafik from Torah Tomei, so you can take Truma misafik Torah Tomei, Truma Gedola, not Truma Meiser. Okay, even Truma Gedola as since a suffix. So I'm Yosef is suffix Truma Gedola in the Kayamin. Suffix Kivish Truma, suffix Loifrish, and you're allowed to take it off Torah Ala Tomei. Okay, now we have this is going back to the Mishnah. So we learn in Maseches Demai when you're well, let's read inside. K'mona Tema Mina Vade Al Hadmai. What you're doing for Truma Lo Tachal Achiyotza Truma Sumaisrus. So we learn Maseches Demai when you mafish Truma from Vade Tevel on grain, which is a suffix if Truma is taken off or not. So the Truma is Truma, but you're not allowed to eat from that Truma until you're mafish Truma Sumaisrus on it, because maybe the Demai was already fixed. So you're mafish Minachiv Abtur. So it's not Truma. So it means Tevel until it's fixed itself. So despite the fact you took Truma from Vadai and Mai. So Truma B'yati Mahavish Truma Samaisis on the Truma which you took off. Because maybe you're taking off from Chiyuv Al Abtur, and therefore it's really nothing. It's really just Tevel. So if you have to take Truma myself, forget. So Kamate Minavai Truma, but Lo Sachal Achiyotila Truma Usumaisa until you take off Truma Sumaisa somewhere else. It says Omar Mina Demai, so it should say V'omer Avchacha. So why doesn't say in our Mishnah Mafish Challah from dough, which is definitely not to have challah taken off, that it's also to eat the challah until you take challah from elsewhere. So according to the Gra, who took the next line out, Aron Bar Bisna, the Gemara doesn't answer this question. It just remains difficult, right? Why should I have to take it off Makam Acher? So instead of saying, I should have stressed this the way the Rav Fulda and Levi Yerushalmi learned the article brings it down in the alternate version. It says, my cane. No, it's supposed to say Amar Afacha cane. Not Minad Mai, Amar Afacha cane. So he has to be the same thing. So the easiest way to learn Gemara, if we learn like the Gra, we shifted Amar Shin Bar Barsna, which is very difficult to learn here as being an answer to the Gemara's question. It really requires a steam shovel to fit it in, and we already moved it according to the Gra. So the Gemara doesn't answer, and you have to say it's a cool that make it by Challah. Challah which is totally bias kulchem. It's more of a derabanan than Trumas and Maisrus. Even according to my number, Trumas is derabanan. This is more of the Rabbanan. So therefore, that as we see throughout the Masechta, by how we have leniencies which don't necessarily have by Trumas and Maisrus. Trumas and Maisrus was treated more like a deraisa, even if it's been doing Rabbanan is on his head than Challah is. So therefore, it was a cooler there make up by Challah. They said that you don't have to eat motzi makam acher. You just that Challah you took off is considered to be sufficient, and it's perhaps also different because I'm saying I'm just hypothesizing that this perhaps is not perhaps this is hogwash, but because the challah you can look at it as part of the challah is challah on itself, and part of the challah is challah on the demai, whereas because the shear of challah is, flexible. We've seen 124th, 148. As opposed to truma, where we generally say it's supposed to be simply a 50th. It's true that was not as a remako, but I'm not sure. That was just speculative, and perhaps it makes no sense. So you can just ignore that. But I think the easiest way to learn, again, using the gross gears, is that Gemara does leaves it difficult, or the assumption perhaps is that by challah we're more mako than by trumas and maasros. Okay, I wish I would see it inside. Somebody says that, but I don't see offhand anybody saying that. I saw Shatar saw it's even more dramatic change of gear. So here, and he learns it's not even. I'm not going to tell you what his gear says, but I will tell you, saying Chala's on issue. It's asking from Trumas, where you take up Trumas Vadai or Trumas Sofek. So what about by Trumas Sofek or Trumas Sofek? And that it says, no, Trumas Vadai, Trumas Sofek. Then you have to motzi Trumas Umaysim Okamacher. By Trumas Sofek, you don't motzi Trumas Umaysim Okamacher. And that's what he puts in, changes the gears a lot in order to get that. I think the way we learned it is much more, I don't know if glad is the right word, but much easier. That the more ends and says, it should be the same halach here. More let's give an answer, and then it goes on to the next Mishnah, which we'll leave, of course, for tomorrow, because it's already on the next Amud.